Hello again. In this video, we are going to practice some of the most common American English words. Make sure that your pronunciation is correct for those words. Okay? These words that we've gathered, a lot of American kids, they learn these words, as far as reading these words, as sight words. And what that means is they are expected to memorize these words as they're starting to learn to read. And the reason for that is because they come up often. They come up in our language very, very often. And a lot of them do not follow the phonetic rules. So as they're learning to sound words out, these words don't tend to make a lot of sense phonetically, based on those rules that they're learning of how to read. And so that can make it very tricky for pronunciation, especially for non-native English speakers. So I want to go over these words and make sure that you're getting the correct pronunciation of these words. Okay? So I really want you to check your own pronunciation, because you might be surprised that there, of common words that you thought you were saying correctly, but in fact, you've been mispronouncing. Okay? We are going to go over a few of these together today. But in your downloads, there'll be a worksheet, an MP3 player, or MP3 file that you can download and practice with, that will go through the first 100 most common English words, okay? And make sure that you are pronouncing those correctly. Okay, so let's go through a few of those. First is was. Has that and then the Z sound. How was your weekend? How was your weekend? Use. I'm not going to use this desk. Do you want it? Saw. Ah. I have a lot of clients that pronounce it saw, instead of saw, okay? Drop the jaw, saw, okay? I saw you at the park. So, with a long O, we had so much fun. Do. Now I contrast so and do because they are spelled very similarly, but they have totally different pronunciations. So do. Where do you want to go for lunch? Where do you want to go for lunch? Do. Ooh. Of, we've talked about of, that there's some reductions that go along with of. So of, same thing with fur. Sometimes it can be fur. I went for a walk, or for a walk. To, it can be ta, it can be to in the pronunciation. What. You want to make sure that a is reduced to that what. And want, okay? Ah. Drop the jaw for that short ah. So these are just a few of these most common words in American English. I have in the downloads a whole bunch of more for you to practice. So I want you to go through those and really practice them and get comfortable with them. Now the key here is to listen, okay? Listen and repeat what you're hearing. And be very, very deliberate about that repetition to make sure that you're saying it exactly the way I'm saying it. If it feels uncomfortable at all for you, then highlight that word, underline that word, make note of that word to practice, because if it's uncomfortable in any way, it probably means that you're not saying that word correctly. And I want you to practice it the correct way, okay? So remember, it's not how it's spelled, it's how it sounds. So be very deliberate in just listening to what the vowels are doing, listening to kind of the reductions that are happening during these words. And if you get these most common words correct, then of course, with the high frequency that these words come in American English, you can be guaranteed that you'll be cleaning up more and more of your English words, okay? And making sure that that pronunciation is nice and clear. All right. Very important, listen, think through it, identify, is it different than what you are saying, and then say it, okay? As you listen, think, and then speak and say it, listen, think, and speak, as you do this, then you'll get more and more comfortable with the correct pronunciation, and you'll be able to, the speaking part will come more automatic for you to say it that correct way the first time. Okay? Be very deliberate about that practice. Okay, so I want you to download the worksheets, download the MP3, make sure that you're saying these words correctly. Practice, 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 and I'll see you again in the next video.